day which is really not authentic. Because God's holy days, and we're going to cover that too, God's holy days are still relevant, are they not? Now, let me make this clear, and I made this clear before. This is not an issue of salvation. Okay? It's an issue of obedience. Obedience and salvation, two separate things. You could be disobedient and be saved and set apart and redeemed and purchased with the blood and walk in the Messiah. You can. You could be redeemed and be disobedient. But if you're saved, you accepted the Messiah. It's like the covenant, and we're going to cover that in just a couple of minutes, so let me not jump ahead of myself. Why isn't everybody all over the world, why aren't they saying Happy New Year? Because we don't live in a Hebraic society. We live in a Roman society. We live in a Greek society. All the laws and the rules and the regulations were kind of formed that way, and we adapted that over a period of time. Judaize the house. She would Pesach the house. She would Passover. And my father would bring up from the basement these big cartons of Passover plates. Now, there's a word called parv. Does anybody know parv? P-A-R-V-E, parv? Means it's not milk and it's not dairy. You can eat it either way, like oil. Vegetable oil would be parv. You can eat it with meat. You can eat it with dairy. Vegetables per se would be that. Is butter parv? No. Butter would be dairy. Would a steak be parv? No. It would be meat. So meat and dairy was separated. That's the only thing I knew growing up. That's the way I lived. Until I came to understanding and saying, wait a minute, that's wrong. And then I went into the world and I ate lots of stuff that was treif. Cheeseburger. Oh, yeah, I remember when I first had a cheeseburger. Boy, that was so good. And pizza and all that kind of stuff. And you know what? It's not important. And it's more important what comes out of your mouth than goes in. Because what goes in comes out. But what comes out this way stays. The words that we speak to others could be very harmful, very hateful, very bitter. You can love somebody with all your heart, mind, with everything you got, and then you can, flash just like that. I have a good friend in Florida, and he explained to me once about that. He says, we're good friends, and we've been friends for a long time, but I can turn you on a dime. He said, I can say some things to you, and you would hate me. That's true. We have that power in the tongue to pour out venom to those that we love and care about the most. Why is that? I don't know. But it's bad. It's really bad. The worst thing for me as a man is to say, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Please forgive me. If you don't do it, you don't have to ask for forgiveness. But it's usually the guys. Sorry. It's usually us guys that mess up along the way. So my mother would go through all this process. My father would bring up these boxes of plates. Now, parv, we only have one set of dishes, so we can only eat meat products and parv products. We weren't allowed to have milk. We weren't allowed to have cheese or any of that dairy stuff. We were not allowed. And then some years later, we became rich, and we bought dairy. So we had 4 sets of dishes and 4 sets of pots and 4 sets of silverware. And you know what? There was one thing lacking, was our relationship with God. We were doing a lot of religious stuff, but I don't remember ever having a relationship with God as a little kid. We did all these biblical, so-called biblical, rabbinical things, but there was no relationship with the Father. So we'd have Passover, and we remember the story. We sit around, we read Haggadah, and we drank the wine, and we ate the matzah, and we did all that stuff, but there was no God. There was the absence of the Messiah. Without God, we can't do nothing. We think we can. The Word says, I can do all things through the Messiah who strengthens me. Who is the one who strengthens you? Yeshua. His blood is what strengthens you. So, we've read Exodus 12:1. Resurrection Day, glory to God in the highest. we went on doing this for many years, and my greatest memory, and I'll finish with that, my greatest memory was when our family of 16 all gathered together and had Passover Seder together. My grandfather was the patriarch. He was the Zaidi. He was in charge. He wore a robe, and he wore talit and kippah and hat and all that stuff, and he went through the service. And the only thing we wanted to do was get finished so we can eat the meal. Because little kids, they have shpilkas. Shpilkas is when you can't sit still for too long. And a child of 2 has about 2 minutes, and a child of 5 has about 5 minutes. And imagine, it's an hour and a half, 2 hours. Come on, Sadie, I'm hungry, I want to eat. And he'd go through the ritual of what he had to do, and then we'd eat the meal, and boy, did we eat. So, this is a forerunner of what we're going to do at Passover next week. So for those, how's this for a segue? For those who have not filled in their Passover reservation, do so. Now, why are we doing it next Saturday when Passover actually starts Monday, a week from this Monday? Before then, after, that's good. Okay, we're doing it 2 reasons, and they make a lot of sense to me. Number one, that place is available on Saturday. Saturday is a good day for us. Saturday night, most people are available. We're not cutting into anything. And more importantly, it's a rehearsal. All of what we do is a rehearsal. It's a rehearsal for that great time when we're going to have a banquet with the Lord. This is not going to get us into heaven by following Passover or Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, or any of those holidays. It's not getting us to heaven. The blood of Messiah is the only way we're going to get into heaven. We enjoy doing these things because God told us to, so it's respectful and it's obedient, but it has nothing to do with salvation. Salvation is a free gift. Don't confuse the 2 things. We get to do that. We enjoy doing that. So we've gone through all that stuff, and then I grew up, and long story, I got to be 40 years old, and I did my first Messianic Passover Seder. I just became a believer. First time in my life I understood what the Passover was all about. We had a home in Fort Lauderdale, and that's where we lived, and I became a believer there. And they asked in the congregation, how many people would like to have a home Seder? I'm going to ask that same question in a minute, so I'm going to think about that. How many people would like to have a home Seder? And I raised my hand. I said, I'd love to have a home Seder. I didn't know how to conduct it from a Messianic point of view. I was new in the Lord. So we had this one gentleman who we still know to this day. He came over our house, and he put on the Messianic Passover Seder. And what's different about that than traditional Jewish Seders? Anybody have an idea? Gee, just one little thing. Yeshua. Monday night, millions and millions of Jews, not this Monday, next Monday, millions of Jews throughout the world will be celebrating Passover. The overwhelming majority of them will miss the key issue of Passover, which is the blood of the Lamb. That blood that is on our hearts is not the blood from an animal lamb. It is from the blood of the Messiah, the human sacrifice that gave his life for us. So if you here don't know the Messiah and that blood is not upon your heart, I would be happy to talk with you after service and pray for you so you can understand the importance of what Passover is about. It's not about the Exodus. It's about Yeshua, who came, who died, who gave his life, and his blood is upon our hearts. Now, there are 7 feasts during the course of the year. 3 of them are all within this week, starting Monday night. Everything I'm referring to is starting Monday night. There's 3 feasts. Anybody would like to venture? Come on, this is an open forum. First fruits. Okay? Passover. There you go. Passover. That's matzah. Yeah, that's unleavened bread. Okay? You got 3 feasts, all in one. Actually, they're 3 separate feasts. They now make it Passover. Actually, there's only one day of Passover. Passover will be Monday night. That is the Passover. Some celebrate it on Tuesday night. Some celebrate it on the last day, which is the following Monday as well. In our family, that's what we did. The first night, the second night, and the last night. So Monday night would be the first night, and Monday next week would be the last night as well. If you doubt any of that, get yourself a Jewish calendar. You'll see it all spelled out for you just the way it is.